Buenos dias, buenos dias. Good morning, gang. Good morning. Roll call. Who's in here? Who's in here? Mr. Jumper in here? Of course, Mr. Jumper. Mr. Jumper in the building, in the flesh. Yeah, so Donovan was in here. I guess he left. I give another like 2 minutes before we start. It says 3 people watching, so there's some other people in here. Welcome, welcome. You know what it is too? If they're watching on the phone, unless they put desktop site, it doesn't let them chat. What's the word, Big Bird? What's up, Donovan? Oh man, so tired. Excuse me. Mm. Everything is lacquer, my brother, lacquer. Yo, so that's what's up. 100 to that. So let's get this party started, I guess. Um, sorry guys, I'm fucking tired, tired. So great week last week. Some ups, a lot of ups, couple downs. Um, but overall, a great week last week. So this week, yeah, yo, I am tired. I gotta get ready for the week, bro. Gotta get ready for the week. No snoozing this week. I'm tired, bro. Tired, bro. I'm gonna get some more sleep. I know you've been up since like 5 o'clock in the morning, Eastern, New York. So let's get this party started. So guys, so welcome to this week's Sunday breakdown. You know, this class is called the Market Makers Breakdown. Right here is where we break down the weekly pattern, the overall market makers pattern, and you know, kind of get ahead of what the expectation is for the week. So we have a clear understanding of what we should be looking at and the why behind it, right? Because the why is very important. Not just let me do this to do this. No, it's why am I doing this? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? And so um Let's make it make sense. So let's start with AU. Oh, guys who are here, um, we're going to be switching up NZD USD for another pair. Please, any suggestions on what pair it should be? NZD USD. Just so you guys know, NZD USD. When I was trading it last week, the actual price movement of um, TradingView, the broker that's on TradingView, and the price movement that's on the prop firm's broker was completely off. So with that being said, I understand there's gonna be some type of, differential between both brokers. I understand that, but not like this. If you guys, yeah, no USDs are, we're taking that off. Um, if you guys would have saw that, you guys would have been like, hold on, what's going on? This one's going up, this one's going down. The candles are completely off. So we can't, I can't afford that. I took a slight loss because of that. I'm like, broker was going up, trading view was going up, broker was still. When the price reached the target, not even a target, when the price like full candle closed green, and it was like a 8 pip candle, it closed like 11 pips the opposite way down, right? That's not conducive to trade. So, you know, let me know, post it on the Discord, um, and we'll add another one and we'll take USDs R off. So let's start with AU, guys. So AU, we're looking at the overall market makers pattern. We are still in A2, right? Looking at price action still looks like a good downtrend, right? We were in the middle consolidation. Price broke out of the middle of consolidation last week, well, last month technically. It's a monthly, right? Broke out, came back. Right now is retesting this low. Right, we can see that. Let's take a look at what happened last week. Last week, the market, a little rise. I think we have here. Okay, I'm not 100% sure though. So we got a little rise. Looking at the overall structure, still looks good. Let's take a look at our 4-hour structure and update it. Right, we got a new 4-hour zone. Made a lower low, broke this low, right? So my 4-hour zone was stuck in this chop until it broke out, which broke out here. So now the new high is set here, and the new low is set here, right? Let me fix it. High is up here, right? So now we're trading in this zone, this 4-hour zone, all right? Well, what am I expecting? Remember that retest that's happening right now of that low, right? Once I see price starts to turn around, um, off this low here, right? Everything is testing, hasn't broke above. If I see price starts to turn around, then I would look into taking a trade. I do see we have a previous 3 days of rise, so price should be looking to turn around. But we're in the middle of this whole zone, right? So we're getting to the premium. we're at the premium, getting to the premium. So once we get to premium, tap is in, good market, lower time frame market structure, then we're looking good for an entry. So far so good. There you go. 3 days of rise, 800 EMA, get into the discount zone. Going to look at. Absolutely. This is one I'm going to green for the week. All right. Next, Euro cat. You see, we have Euro cat. Donovan. All right. Let me take all this off. Mm-hmm. Let's start from the top. So, where are we? We're in a V1. We had the lower consolidation. Price came to the lower consolidation, tapped it, and then pushed away as expected. Right? No, no surprises there. Right? So now that price pushed away, what are we looking at? We're looking for price to continue to get to the top of the consolidation. Let's take a look at monthly move last month, then a month for drop. So we expect that month to start pushing up. So let's take a look at the weekly. What did it do yesterday? Last week, I'm sorry, gave us a week of rise. So we got 2 weeks of rise. We know what this week holds, right? So EuroCAD is definitely one that you want to keep your eye out on. Now, pros and cons of this third week. I want to see the beginning of the week. I want to see a pullback. I want to see a pullback. Um, I hate it because sometimes the beginning of the week, we start the week with a gap, right? It will give us a new high with that gap. Pull back, right, and then continue. But I definitely want to see, I don't want to see a new high yet. I want to see a pullback, maybe Monday and Tuesday, pullback, Wednesday, chill out, and then starts to run to the top Wednesday. Then we get Thursday rise and Friday rise. Ideally, that's what I would want, right? But let's see what the market gives us, right? But definitely, EuroCAD is one to look into this week. Based on structure, everything's good. We're trading between the zone, right? As far as zone, and EuroCAD is definitely one to be looking out for. Let's go to Euro USD. Alrighty, so Euro USD, we are on A2, second zone of consolidation, almost at the low of the consolidation, right? Looking at the zone, take a look. We're almost at the bottom of the zone. Stretch this out. Yeah, we're looking at AU. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, AU. We went back to AU. Thank you, sir. How we went back to AU? I didn't click AU, bro. So Euro USD. We in V1 on Euro USD, right? We broke this daily, which is okay. Why is it okay? Because the bottom of that V1 is here. So this is not a strong bottom. This is the strong bottom, technically, right? In this set pattern. In this set pattern, this is the strong bottom, not here, right? Even though it broke it, it could have break it in. We okay with that, right? So our new low is here, right? Because technically our low should have been here. we're looking at the pattern, and all of this that happened was just testing of this low, right? But we're gonna roll with this. We had 2 months of drop previously, right? So this month we were expecting a new low to be set, and it did with the first candle of the month, right? A new low was set, then price started to push up. We have a previous 3 days of rise, so I'm not expecting a rise for today. Not expecting a rise, but let's drop down to the 4. Let's see what it's doing on the weekly. Last week it gave us a week of rise. I am expecting a rise for the week, but not on Monday. Not for them to start the party on Monday. Okay. Let's look at the 4 hour. Market structure still looks good, right? For lows, lower highs has not changed, right? The character has not changed yet. So we have here and the top of the zone is here. So right now we're trading in this 4 hour zone. I do want to see this change of character, right? Why? What's a change of character? Where price starts to change from a downtrend to an uptrend. We can see we have lower lows, lower highs this whole time. I want to see them break this lower high. Once it breaks this lower high and creates a higher high, then we should get a pullback to create a higher low. That higher low point is your first place of your target for your first entry position, right? Then it breaks it, then retraces again and give us another higher low. On the second higher low, that's the most confirmed entry that you can take because that's when you confirm the market has started to turn around, has turned around, started to go up because we have a change of character and a break of structure. Those two are key into a great confirmation in all time frames. Definitely in a lower time frame, you want to look have those two things before you're looking to enter a position. So Euro USD looks good for the week too. Want to watch Euro USD this week, right? Go to GJ. What's going on here? All this off. Hour. Go to the daily. Let's take a look at the pattern. So the daily, we still in level 3 rise, right? We're getting close to peak formation high territory. This is why we get these crazy moves happening. Um, it's because of that. So last week price on Friday. No, this was on Friday. Was this Friday? No. Last week, Wednesday, the weekly low Tuesday, price went tap the daily zone, the low of the daily zone, and then pushed away. Right? Just came to tap it. Right? Once it tapped it, pushed away, we have a previous 3 days of rise. Right? Things look good on that end. Next, Last week it gave us a week of rise. This is not a rise. This is technically a drop. It gave us a drop rise, right? Touched, started to go up. Now, for all the GJ traders, now you could look into start to trade GJ. 4 hours, it's looking like this, that's our pattern. Let's take a look at our 4 hour zone. Let's update that, right? So this is where it broke out of the zone. So we have to use this low and this high. Right now, this candle is so big. Pause. But that's technically the zone right there. So price, if let's say price were to come back down, they have this whole zone to test. Hey, yo, pause. You can use the next red candle, Lewis, right? But you have to play it safe, right? To be a more aggressive zone will be that. That would be the most aggressive zone. But this whole zone, when we have long wicks, right? Just think about the wick is used to give them room, whether it's room to take you out, room to get you in, right? So do you want to be a little bit more conservative and understand this whole zone? If price could come down, it's not just at the top that they could reverse, right? They could go to the middle, they could go all the way to the bottom. They gave themselves room to be able to do that, right? So wicks, you know, understand the purpose behind them, right? Is to give them room, to give themselves room to do more damage if need to, right? If need to. But, looking at just price action where we are, you know, I could see us breaking. There was a lot of momentum Friday. I could see it continuing today, early today too, and breaking this. Like you said, wicks are gaps as well. So, so GJ, we're running with the pattern overall, right? Everything thus far is not going counter, right? Everything thus far is going with the trend. GBP USD. Start from the daily. So last previous 2 months gave us 2 months of drop, right? So what was the expectation? A new low of the month to be set, and then to start the party to continue, excuse me, with the market makers trend. We got a new lows at the beginning of the month, and we got 3 days of rise, right? Previous 3 days of rise. Let's break this down, right? Because we still got space to go to the low of this consolidating zone, right? And yes, the daily zone was broken, right? But the overall expectation, guys, was down here, right? Because of price action, we have to put this here. This is why certain zones get broken. But again, we have an expectation of this down here, not this one, because this is the top of consolidation. This is the bottom of the consolidation. So price to oscillate between these two, this high and this low, right? Yes, we were looking for price to come back here as a potential and then continue to go up. But we know that here this is around 50% now. 50% is around here, but it's close. It's about from the bottom looking up, 40% of the zone, and from the top looking down, 60% of the zone, right? So the expectation was down here in reality. So we're going to use this as the low. We're going to keep the high up there, right? I'm still expecting price to push a little bit more down before the up, but let's see because here, you know, their test this 4 hour zone, right? But I want to see a break, so let's go to the 4 hour and take a look at that. Last week gave us a week of rise. Right? It was a nice week of rise. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. Let's change our zone up here. We have this high. So right now we're trading in this 4 hour zone. We have this low, we have this high. Right? Price came. I want to see them change. Right? Once price breaks here, gives me that change of character, then we look for that break of structure, and then we back in business. So remember, we're in a tight consolidation period, so price could be consolidating between here before it pushes up, guys. So, or give us a new low, a deeper low. Pause. But another one. Got a lot of things to look at. Alright, so taking a look at the overall structure, right? We can see that we are in V2. Um, Heading up, price came back to the 800, pushed up, right? And we're in between here now, right? Technically, guys, the zone was here, right? No, technically the zone was here, has not broken this zone, right? So this is why we're still trading in this whole zone, right? But we're literally trading this consolidation, but we're in this zone, right? Based on market structure, so I'm not gonna change that. When we're looking at the most current tradable zone in the daily will be from here to here, right? Price It's testing the zone, hasn't broke, but I can see it breaking out to go into the top. Let's go with a 4. Last week, the price dropped. Price came close to that daily and shot down. Let's update the 4. Wow, so price broke out of the previous 4-hour zone. This was the zone. Price broke out. Right, we're looking like we on a retest. How many pips was this pullback? 126, 50, 30. Use this pullback. This is the push that broke out of the zone. So we use that. Alright guys, so we're trading in between the zone. We want to wait for price to get to discount, right? At least 50% of the pullback before the continuation, right? Does it always happen? No, but we can see the price on a lower time frame is trending down. So that downtrend should be finishing around the 50% of this for the continuation to happen. Back to the top and breaking this daily zone. It's a big zone. Right? One could argue that it's here too, but I'm going to use that big wick. USD CAD. Yeah, watch it. I'm gonna do USD ZAR, but we already know how we feel about ZAR. So let's go to the daily. Right, it's choppy. It's chopping over here, getting to the top. There's nothing to update on that one. Moving on to the 4-hour zone and the 4-hour market structure. Okay, so we're trading here to here. Broke out of the zone. Broke, test, push, retest now. And then what I'm gonna go on to be fucking watching if it wasn't for the damn price action. I was completely off. Last week we had a week of no net. Technically, this is a week of rise. This is a week of no net. All right, so let's update it. The dirty 30. All right, so 4 hour. This one's a little bit different, right? Broke out of this zone that was here, came close to this bottom, and then pushed up. So let's update this. We could argue this push. 590. Gotta be at least 8. Alright, this is getting close. Alright, so last week we had a week of drop, like we were expecting. Right, gave us that third week. This was the powerful one. Then changed the character to the top side. Very simple, guys. This was fucking textbook fucking US 30 last week. Alright, so everything was good. Let's drop down to the 30 on this one. Mona Lisa, literally. Facts though. Alright, so here's where we are. Right, so our 4 hour zone, for our 30-minute zone, sorry, has been moved from here to here. Right, and I am expecting a break to the top side. So even though we can see, you know, remember, especially with US 30, the trend is your friend, right? So we have lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We want to see a break, excuse me. Want to see a break happen up here for a great confirmation, right? But there's still, lower time frame structure to the top side, right? That we could trade, not just looking for the bottom side, right? So we did have a change here. So price came, retest, pushed away fast Friday. So US 30 still, we had an up on it. Um, we are getting to the bottom of that zone that was broken, right? So we want to wait for price to start pushing up. Let's change this. This is that zone because price changed to go down. Now we need it to change to continue to go up, right? But price right now on US 30 is trending lower. We have our 3 weeks of drop, so we're not expecting a drop this week. We're not expecting this week's price to go lower than last week's close. I want to see price shoot for the EMA, the 800. Gold. Gold is doing exactly what we expected to do, right? We are in level 2 drop. We're getting to the second zone of a target for the second zone of consolidation. It should be on up on top of the 800 or below the 800 because the first zone was above the 800. So we're expecting it right on the 800 or below, right? So everything looks good here. Let's drop to the 4. Look at our structure. Structure looks good. These little ones. 4 hour zone. Got it there. Here. We got a week of drop. That's 2 weeks of drop. We know what to expect this week, right? Prices in this, trapped in this consolidation period right here. We had a small change, right? Not even yet. That doji candle does not count. So we have this candle. We need to wait for the next candle. Excuse me. For that continuation, right? This is gold is one. You gotta be watching. I am expecting lower um gold to go lower this week. Absolutely. And last, BTC. A nice change. That break pullback. It's too easy. Overall, we are sitting in V1, right? We in the middle. Notice the 800 is in the middle, right? Things to notice. Small little details. Let me just leave it the way it is. Right? Dropping down to the 4. Last week we had a week of rise, so that's 2 weeks of rise. So you know what to expect this week, guys. And we're right in target for price to push up. All right, we're right in target for price to push up. Let's look at our 4 hour structure. Give it a look. 4 hour structure looks amazing. Our zone is still intact. Our our smaller zones are in here, right? We're still looking good. We have from here to here. It's a smaller time frame zone, right? Did a break. Everything is tested. So it's gonna break out of here. But BTC is one to be looking at even today. Even though this Asian banks are closed, JPY is closed. Let's look at tomorrow. We got nothing ahead of us. Nothing to stop us. What holidays tomorrow? There's a holiday tomorrow, Lewis. It's funny how all banks are off besides the euro. You don't know? I don't know neither. Yeah. They took the day off after Friday's NFP. Well, guys, we'll wait for Lewis to see what he says. But guys, that's this week's market outlook, market breakdown. Columbus Day. Wow. Yeah, we don't. The only Christopher I acknowledge is Wallace. Just so we know. That's why I don't even care. The only Christopher I acknowledge is Wallace. Um. So yeah, guys. So this week we have a lot of things happening for us. Out of the 10 pairs that we look at, nine, right? Even USDZR is looking good, but again, we're not trading that. So you know, be smart, wait for confirmations, don't get in on don't get in on impulse, wait for candlestick closures, right? I'm guilty of that sometimes. I get excited, I'm like, damn, I just missed it. And I get in the middle of the candlestick. Um, Look at the spreads, make sure the spreads are favorable, right? When you're trading. Risk to reward is key. Make sure your trade is at least a 2 to 1 before you enter. Um, know how to calculate your lot sizes. No hedge trading, Mr. Lewis. Um, and what else? And that's it. Have a great week, guys. Anything, Mr. Donovan, Mr. Jumper, we ready. And guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Um, Make sure you join the Discord. Um, that's about it. See you during the week. Tomorrow's class, 7 p.m. Peace out, guys. Have a good week. Have a good Sunday.